This session is called Tracking SEO with Google Analytics. And in this session, you're going to be learning some very specific ways that you can use Google Analytics to track your SEO progress. Now, as I'm sure you've seen from all of our other videos, search engine optimization takes quite a lot of work. So you can imagine it's essential to be testing and tracking the results of all that work so that you can both refine your strategy over time, but also not be wasting your time. If things aren't working, you're going to want to know that pretty quickly so that you can focus your efforts somewhere else. You're not going to want to simply keep working away, spending hours and hours on SEO and then find out that none of that work was paying off. So in this session, you're going to learn how to use some of the default reports in Google Analytics, which there are some that are pretty good, but also how to create a few custom reports. And this is where we can really drill down and give you some really good insights into how your SEO campaigns are doing, what you should be changing, what you should be doing more of, less of, so on and so forth. So as you see here on your screen, this is the default Google Analytics dashboard. And it's got some metrics here. It's got visits, average visit duration, conversion rate. You can also see here it's got visits by traffic type. And I'd point out media, referral traffic, advertising traffic, and SEO traffic. It's all together. So a lot of these metrics, while it's good to have a general pulse to know, okay, we're getting some conversions and some traffic and so on. For all we know, all of these conversions are coming from one traffic source or another. There's no way to know exactly what's working. So as you can imagine, the dashboard, while it's pretty cool to look at, it's really not very useful. So what we want to do is drill down and get very, very specific about what we're looking at and how it's performing and so on. So the first thing that I'd want you to do here is click up here that says standard reporting. So when you come over here and you're looking at the visitors overview, again, you can see it's sort of all aggregated: visits, unique visits, page views, so on. Here's some brand keywords. We're using our demo site here, tfrog.com, which sells a lot of different teas. And you can see, okay, tfrog has this many visits. It's got quite a lot of page views for visit. Duration's really high. The bounce rate's really low. So now we're getting somewhere because we're looking at specific keywords. Now, of course, that's a brand keyword. So that's most likely going to have good metrics because these people already know about tfrog. They're looking specifically for tfrog. They found it, and then they're going to look around. Let's look at something like this: how to make iced tea with loose leaf tea. That's a very specific long tail keyword. Not as many visits as you'd expect. One page because they're looking for something so specific. Bounce rate's pretty high. So that's going to tell me something about our SEO campaign. The first thing we can do is copy this and just pop open a new tab and see where we're ranking for that. And it looks like tfrog is really try very hard to boost our rankings for this keyword just because the traffic is looking at that one article and then leaving and they're not buying anything for all we know. So we could scrap it, or we could rewrite that article, test it, see if we could have some more calls to action. Maybe in this article, we could have a clearer call to action to say, this is how you do it, but this is also the best products you could use to do it. Here's the links to those products. So we could make it easier for them to buy. So there's a lot of different ways you could go when you know this stuff. So very, very good to pay attention to specific keyword metrics, not just this aggregate data or the aggregate data on the dashboard, but really drill down to the individual keywords. Let's look at a couple more here. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to expand this list and it'll show us a little bit more. We are third. Okay. Well, that's pretty good. We're not getting a lot of visits, but the quality of the traffic is very, very high. So that tells me that's a very clear signal that we need to work on this keyword. We need to do some SEO around this keyword. So I would put this pretty high on my list of keywords to start optimizing and really taking the time to work with, and then you compare that to the keyword we were just looking at about how to make iced tea with loose leaf tea, which we get here under content, site content, and then landing pages. Now, landing pages are interesting because when people search and they find you on Google, they're going to land on a particular page. Specifically thinking about SEO. And since the content is so incredibly important, looking at landing pages specifically is a really good way to figure out what are people engaging with when they first come to the site. With SEO, most of these people are going to be new visits. That's just sort of the nature of SEO. So we want to make sure that we're making a good first impression. And inversely, if you can look at some of these pages that have very, very high bounce rates, like 91%, 530 visits, but 91% of them are just bouncing and going right out the door. Oh, actually, that's the landing page for the keyword we just saw, brewing loose leaf iced tea. We know right there that content needs help. It needs to be rewritten. It needs some sort of strategy behind it to try to get that bounce rate down because it's getting so much traffic. It's such a shame. You work so hard to get all this traffic and it's going right out the window. So definitely something you're going to want to be looking at when you're going through your analytics. And I'm sure by now you're starting to see why just the dashboard isn't really super helpful. When you drill down and you really look at individual keywords and individual pages, that's when you really start to get insightful data that you can take action on. And that's really what I want to give you today. So now that we've looked at some of the standard reports, now I want to show you how to build custom reports. Now this is really, really cool. And it's going to give you even one more level of insightful data, a little bit more so into just what the standard reportings have. It's going to give you some more information that's very, very useful. So let's take a look at how to make a custom report. Okay, so the first thing that you'll do when you want to make a custom report is just click this button here that says New Custom Report. And it's going to open up a page here that's got quite a lot of information, different metrics and filters and things that we can use to drill down into our data how we want to. So the first type of custom report that I'm going to show you how to make is going to take the land SEO traffic is landing on these pages and it's doing this well. So we can look at the bounce rates and we can know we're only looking at SEO traffic. We can also look at conversions. The homepage is converting really, really well, although we know that the homepage is getting mostly traffic for brand keywords, people who already know about T-Frog. But we can also sort, which is really great. So we can sort by completions and start looking at the different pages. And we can see this brew tea here. This page is converting really well. And bounce rate is still at 66 though. So, we can look at that and say, okay, a couple of things. We can look at the keywords that are driving traffic to this page. And we can think to ourselves, should we work on boosting those rankings? If we're ranking on the bottom of the front page, can we get it up to the top? We know we're making some good sales, some good goal completions. So we should definitely look at that. worked really hard to drive all these visits to this page, or this page rather, and I had such a high bounce rate. As an SEO, that'd be very frustrating because here I am driving all this traffic, but I'm not getting as many purchases as we could because the bounce rate's so high. And that might not be your responsibility. So you're going to want to work with the marketing team to get that page rewritten and reworked. So as an SEO, very, very, very valuable report.